How's it going, everybody? Welcome to episode number 10 of the Facebook Hackers Show. We made it to double digits, so thank you to those of you who have followed me for this long. And if it's your first time listening to the show, welcome. We talk about all things digital marketing, not just Facebook, even though it is labeled the Facebook Hackers Show, but we won't talk about that. But look, today I do want to talk about some ways that you can lower your lead costs. So for those of you who are in e-commerce, this isn't going to be so much relevant to you unless you're currently building an email list. It might be relevant to you. But this is more so for those of you service-based businesses, perhaps coaches, where you need to generate inquiries, you need to generate leads to give yourself the opportunity to sell your product or service over the phone or however you do it, okay? So a lot of the metrics and the strategies that I'm going to mention today are real-world things that are working right now. It's the 18th of January. 2022, halfway through January already. That was a bit of a wake-up call. And so a lot of this stuff is going to be relevant now. Whether it's relevant in the next few months, I'm not too sure, but this is just what I've been seeing as of the start of the year. So let's get into it. So basically, one of the things I'm not really seeing a lot of people do, or at least discuss in the Facebook marketing world, is how to go about getting lower lead costs. Now, lower lead costs doesn't matter if you've got a high conversion rate, let's say over 40, 50% to be really, really realistic. But if you don't have those numbers, then lowering your lead costs could massively impact your profit margins. So for example, most recent example is we've been using quite a few different objectives and testing with a business that I've got a vested interest in. And thank God we did that, because we've lowered our cost per lead by over 30%. We spend north of 7 to 8K a week on Facebook ads alone. So that is a big number, lowering it by 30%. We can do other things like focus on TikTok marketing, which is definitely something you guys want to look at very, very soon. Even if you are looking to generate leads, I guarantee your audience is on there. Just go and check out my Facebook page, Revel Lachlan, or my YouTube channel, actually, Revel Lachlan, for my latest video there. And I'm talking about 3 myths about TikTok advertising, if you're still somewhat, skeptical about using it. But anyway, with regards to using different objectives, if you haven't tried this already, I absolutely recommend it. I would imagine that those of you who are trying to generate inquiries from local customers to your business, you might be using a lead form objective. I've actually found that the lead form objective tends to be one of the most expensive objectives that you can use on Facebook, right next door to conversions. And that means you're driving customers to your website as opposed to just popping up a form that stays on Facebook. One of the things I'd love for you to try is to use a messenger objective. That has been the major contributor to reducing our cost per lead across many accounts by at least 30% on average. Now, conversions, now that we're talking about using different objectives, is using a style of objective that you select your audience, you create your ads, you copy and all of that wonderful stuff, and you're just sending people off of Facebook to your website or to a landing page, right? And then they fill in a form and they request a callback or whatever it is you're offering. That's a very expensive exercise for a number of different reasons, mainly because you're sending people off of Facebook. It tends to be one of the more, if not the most expensive objective to use. So you could still use the same style of funnel that you're using right now, sending people to the landing page, but you can also try and use a messenger objective so that when someone clicks on the ad, it opens up a messenger bubble from your business page, but it just simply gives them the link within Messenger. And because you're using a messenger objective, you'll considerably lower your cost per 1,000 impressions, right? I would dare say that you could look forward to at least 15, 20%, ideally over 30%, as a lower cost per 1,000 impressions. Just to give you an example, I've got my ads manager up in front of me for a couple of our different clients on different tabs here. And by doing this, we've taken one account from a $54.91 cost per 1,000 impressions, which means is how much it's costing us to show the ad 1,000 times. Kind of a generic feel as to how much it's costing to advertise. And from switching from conversions to Messenger, but still offering the landing page URL within the first message of the Messenger ad, we've reduced that down to $24.29. So, I mean, that's roughly, if not bang on 50%, maybe a little bit less, but that's a significant drop. So obviously client is very happy. And the cool thing about this as well, if you didn't know, when you use different objectives like Messenger, like lead forms, like conversions, even if you use the same ads, even if you target the same audiences, you're hitting a different segment of that audience, because Facebook knows, trust me. One of my oldest videos that got a lot of traction way back in the day. Well, not way back in the day, it was only 2019. But that video that I was going through how many different data points and how many different things Facebook knows about you is north of 400,000. And one, if not several of those things, is what type of ads, aka objectives, among other things, you might interact with. So no surprises if you tend to always interact with ads that are conversion based, that send you to a website, you're probably going to see more of them. In a similar fashion, if you're someone that always clicks the send message button before making an inquiry with a local business or an event, you're probably going to see more of them. You get tagged, and that's a signal to Facebook to show you more of that type of ad as that objective, right? So you can hit different segments of the same audience, and it's a very, very, very simple exercise to simply duplicate a campaign. Let's say it's a conversion campaign, duplicate it. Same audience, same creative. You just have to make sure that the first message they receive from that Messenger campaign is the link to your website to go and check out the thing or make the inquiry. And you probably find you'll get some manual conversation within Messenger of your business page, which is always a good thing. And that's a really good exercise. Now, where it starts to get really interesting, which is what we've been testing, is we've been looking at ways to be able to utilize these different objectives, but in different placements. So no surprises, everyone's aware on Instagram there is these placements and these forms of content called Instagram Reels. It's kind of Instagram's way, or let's be specific, it's Meta's way, Facebook's new holding company, of competing with TikToks. So what we've been doing is we've been taking different styles of creative and we're launching them as a conversion objective within Reels as a placement and within stories. So Facebook stories, Messenger stories, and Instagram stories. So we have 4 different placements using a conversion objective, and we've been able to reduce our cost to advertise, and more specifically our cost per lead, by 20% on average every single time we've done that. We manage north of 30 odd campaigns, and so that's a significant drop considering how much spend not only ourselves but our clients are putting into these campaigns. So not only can you use these different objectives like Messenger to be able to reduce your cost per lead and your cost per 1,000 impressions, just your cost to advertise, which is a cool thing, but there's definitely an opportunity by utilizing different placements, assuming you have the right creative that fits. You know, stories isn't a square ad, it's very much a vertical portrait ad. And assuming you've got that, you can look to and look forward to reducing the cost to advertise and therefore your cost per lead significantly. So definitely try those ones out. Some more metrics that I've got in front of me here is with that particular strategy is our cost per 1,000 impressions when we started were $37.13, and now they're down to $23.19. So that's a significant drop as well in the grand scheme of things. Now, obviously, our lead cost has gone down considerably as well. Not nearly as amazing. You know, we're paying somewhere north of $27 a lead when I'm looking at it here, and now we're down to $22. So still, you know, when we're spending thousands of dollars per month, that really does add up. And so we're just pushing and making sure our clients and our marketing budget goes as far as it possibly goes and stretches far and wide. So utilizing different objectives, my friend, and if you're not utilizing different objectives, get onto it. I'm absolutely certain you'll have a very quick win with it. Just be mindful that with these different objectives, there are tiny nuances to using them. So one of the things we don't usually like to use with a Messenger objective is a carousel style ad, because especially with images, because the images are so small that a lot of people tend to click the image or the carousel thinking they're going to make the image bigger to look at it, when actually it opens up a Messenger and they go, oh, sorry, accident. And then you end up optimizing your ads for people who don't, basically optimizing your ads for people who accidentally click on ads, essentially. So trying to use a carousel in Messenger, but you can get some really, really great results with it. Now, funny thing also is talking about lead form ads earlier, have noticed a very, very steep decline in the cost per 1,000 impressions of lead form ads. So much so and I've just got a chart up in front of me here at the moment. With one of my businesses, I've noticed that in June, July, all the way through to September last year in 2021, we were paying on average a $73 cost per 1,000 impressions. So to show the ad 1,000 times, costing us $73, which isn't great, but lead costs, I'd imagine back then, was just okay, and we were probably converting higher than usual, so that's warranted that. And then what I did, I can see here, there's a huge blank space between October right through to the 5th of January this year, 2022. Now, the only reason I've switched this back on, so it's been running since the 5th of Jan until today, and just bearing in mind that we were paying quite a considerable cost per 1,000 impressions, now it's down sitting at $37.72 on average for the past 13 days. I'm not even sure why that is, but I would speculate that because a lot of people, at least starting early Jan, were still on holidays. A lot of people switching their ads off. There is such a unique opportunity and a window to be able to get some amazing results in your Facebook campaigns, especially when everyone is on holidays. Because the funny thing is, and I say it every year around Christmas time, every year, I usually do a blog, but I didn't do it this year, is that you've got a pretty awesome window to be able to get in front of a lot of people, probably the cheapest you will all year. And it's for a number of different reasons. One, people on holidays, not as many people advertising. And there is this speculation that a lot of businesses don't think that customers are interacting as much with ads, especially on Facebook. And it couldn't be further from the truth, because as we all know, we all want freedom. We all want more time to do the things we love. But it's without a doubt this, mobile device is always in front of our face at least a few times a day. And it just so happens to be those platforms, Facebooks, the Instagrams, the TikToks. And so when everyone else has stopped advertising, or at least paused campaigns until they come back to work, you'd be getting some of the cheapest inquiries and leads you've ever got. And I think that's what's happened here early Jan, and it's still holding really, really well right up until today. It's a higher day, but we're still only paying, 37? Yeah, 37.07 per 1,000 impressions. So I'm assuming that's why it's a bit cheaper to run lead forms, to come full circle on that statement and that story. And so what I would recommend to all of you is that if you had a lead form campaign that worked really, really well in the past, and I mean it worked really well, and then for whatever reason stopped working for no reason, I would switch it back on, give it 4 days, give it some budget, at least $15 a day, run it for 4 days and see whether that thing can resurrect itself or revive itself, because it seems to have done exactly that with at least 8 to 10 of the campaigns that we manage over here. So that's a really interesting insight. I'd actually written off using lead forms for one particular business for that reason. But then as I started to see a lot of these other accounts and one of the other businesses that I manage really take off with lead forms, basically just revived a whole bunch of these campaigns at a moment's notice, and they've taken off really well. So make use of it. I'm sure people listening and other advertisers will find this pretty quickly. So you probably got a window of time to make the most of it. So make sure you do. Now, just on that note as well, as I mentioned earlier, you can definitely switch or change up the style of a conversion campaign, sending people to your website or landing page into a messenger, and put the URL in the first message of the messenger objective. But you can also do something similar with lead forms. You just have to sort of change the context. So let's say, for example, Black Friday, perfect example. We'd run lead form ads, get a whole bunch of email addresses, send them an email, sales happening, click here. So essentially, there's one more step in there, well, a couple more steps to be fair, where they give their email address, they get an email, and then they go to the website. You can do the same thing with a lead form, and you probably should, because, and this is probably more pertaining to those of you in e-commerce as well as local business owners, is you should always be looking to build that email list. If this is the first time you've heard it, fantastic, you haven't got any bad habits, but that email list is so powerful. Once you've got people subscribed and engaged in your email list, they only have to open one email, which isn't going to cost you anything, whatever your subscription is, 50, 60, 70 bucks a month with Active Campaign, which is what I use, but MailChimp and everything else is absolutely fine. Same thing. They only have to open one email and it resonates with them. They book a call with you or they make an inquiry and, hey presto, you've got a new customer. And that doesn't have to happen today. That can happen in a month's time. It can happen in 3 years time, as some of our longest term clients have done. I'll never forget this story when I got a message in our Facebook page in December 2018. And I think I just provided them with a link because it was a free training, a lead magnet essentially. So I got them on my email list. And then they became a client in, it was exactly December 2020. So 2 years later, and they'd be following me, consuming content for 2 years. So that was really interesting. And then funnily enough, in 2021, a friend of his, that exact client, contacted me again around the same sort of time, probably October actually, just a short while after, saying, oh yeah, this person mentioned you about this, and they sent me your link and I signed up to your training video and did X, Y, and Z, and then a couple of months later became a client. So make sure you're always building those lists to come full circle on that. Now look, if all this technical talk has gone straight over your head, I really encourage you to book a call with myself. These calls are absolutely free. They're 30 minutes and they're designed to give you more clarity on a better thing to be doing with your marketing dollars. I had a chat with a gentleman just this morning who was getting into managing esports teams. So that is online gaming teams. Basically had a chat, very, very transparent chat. He's like, look, I haven't got much in the way of marketing spend. I'm not sure whether I can afford you guys. And I just said to him, what I'd say to all of you is that essentially these calls are to save you money and to save you time. At the end of the day, when I first started out, I wish I had someone that could give me some direction and perhaps, save me a bit of money into throwing things into different platforms that may not actually work for my business. And so that's what these free consulting calls are designed to do. So if you'd like one of those, hopefully I've remembered to put a link below this episode where you can book that through my Calendly link. If I haven't, just feel free to reach out on my socials, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, if you follow me on there, and there'll be a link there shortly to book a call in with me and have a chat about how we could get some better results from what you're currently doing. But I'm going to leave it there for today. I hope you found that valuable. If you have any questions, as always, reach out to me and I'll see you on the next one.